And the president going around Congress and enacting another law with the stroke of his pen. Critics going so far as to say that the president, they believe, is, quote, lawless.
We've never had a president who is so unconcerned with the Constitution. We've never dealt with it, so nobody knows what to do.
So President Obama signing yet another executive order this week to raise the minimum wage for some federal workers. It comes right after he changed a key Obamacare rule all on his own. And new Fox polling shows that voters really aren't too pleased with the president acting without Congress. Only 37% saying that they approve of executive orders, 60% saying they disapprove, and a growing number of critics saying that he is being completely lawless. Here's Rush Limbaugh.
Nobody knows how to stop him giving away money. Nobody knows how to beat him giving away money. Nobody knows how to deal with a guy who makes up the law every day as he gets up. We've never confronted this before. We've never had a president who is so lawless. We've never had a president who is so unconcerned with the Constitution. We've never dealt with it, so nobody knows what to do.
Wow. Let's talk about this with Fox News political analyst Juan Williams and Mary Catherine Ham, editor-at-large of HotAir.com and a Fox News contributor. Juan, what do you think about that?
Wow, I can't even understand why Mr. Limbaugh is so upset, because when I look at the actual numbers, you see that President Obama has used an executive order to go around the Congress. I think it's less than half of the time of Bill Clinton and just over half of the time of President Bush, George W. Bush. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, unless you're just trying to demonize President Obama and say he's lawless and he's a bad guy. But I mean, in terms of the actual numbers, the facts, it's just not there.
I think the issue, that's the argument, if you look at the numbers don't really, tell that story. But I think when you look at the substance of what we're talking about here, that it has to do primarily with a law that affects so many Americans and 20% of the U.S. economy, and that he's doing that with that law, I think is what has so many people so upset. And I want to look back at this, too. President Obama back in 2008 said this: I taught constitutional law for 10 years. I take the Constitution very seriously. The biggest problem that we're facing right now is George Bush is trying to bring more and more power to the executive branch and not go through Congress at all. And what I intend to do is reverse that when I'm president of the United States. End quote. Mary Catherine.
Yeah, so much for that. No, but I think you can even move beyond executive orders when you're talking about this stuff. And let's talk about Obamacare. This is his signature law. He decides when it's politically convenient for him to change large parts of it at a time, to push off deadlines until conveniently after each election so that people don't get upset with him before those elections. We used to have sort of a gentleman's agreement that once your signature law is passed, you would assume that that president would enforce that law. What is the limiting principle here in the future? I would ask Juan, if a Republican comes into office and says, we'd like to indefinitely delay the rest of Obamacare, there's no reason on paper that he can't do that once Obama has set the precedent. I think that is a genuine concern, because the limiting principle can't be, well, Obama's heart was in the right place and no one else's is. That's not the Constitution. That's not how law is supposed to work.
Let's take a look at a couple more numbers, and then I'm going to get Juan's thoughts on this. This one, executive orders to bypass Congress. Is this how the government is supposed to work? 74% of the people out there, Juan, said no, this is not how the government is supposed to work. So regardless of, the numbers and the comparisons at this moment in time, people are very unhappy with these actions.
Right, and I would agree with them. I don't think that's the way government's supposed to work. Ideally, it's supposed to be a matter of executive proposals and then, legislative action and, of course, judicial review. But what you do see is that, as I just said to you, other presidents, it's not, limited to Obama in the way that this is being drawn or portrayed. It's commonplace for presidents to use executive orders
But it's
to go about
precisely what the
making
president said he
business
wouldn't
of government
do.
work.
Juan,
I'm
it's
sorry,
precisely
Martha?
what he said he wouldn't do. President Obama
No.
said hope and change. He said, you know what? He's pointing to exactly what you're pointing to. He said, this is the way George Bush did things. It's even the way Bill Clinton did things. It is not the way that I am going to do things. He was emphatic about this.
Correct.
And so
Yeah,
so are you okay with the fact that he was emphatic about that and now he's doing exactly what everybody else has done?
I think you have to understand the rules of war here and the rules of politics in Washington. You have a Congress that is basically about obstructing, paralysis, doing nothing.
He had
and you
60
have
votes
a
in the
president who
Senate,
says, I'm not going to allow my term to go through with nothing getting done. And the American people, if you look at their opinion of the Congress right now, it's in the tanks. It's far worse than it is with President Obama.
But you know, the irony here, and Mary Catherine, I do want to get one more thought from you, but the irony here is that a lot of these delays are exactly what Republicans said they wanted. And so if you went back to Congress and said, okay, this is what you guys want, this is what I want, let's put this through Congress, let's get it done, it probably could happen, Mary Catherine.
Well, yeah, and on several occasions, Republicans in the House have said, look, let's actually pass the law that says we should delay this employer mandate. And he said, I'll veto that, which is like, that's the correct way to go about doing things. And he rebuffs that even when Congress is working for his ends. The minimum wage is a perfect example of Obama sort of looking at politics and going, I don't feel like doing that. There's a lot of people who agree with him on the issue. He was on with Bill O'Reilly, who agrees with him on this issue. And what did he do? He didn't try to convince people. He complained about Fox News. So you can't convince people when you're doing that.
All right, guys, we got to go. I'm over time as it is. But thank you so much, Juan and Mary Catherine. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much.
Happy Valentine's
You
Day.
feel the love.
By the way, tell Hemmer happy Valentine's Day and not to be threatened that I said that to him.
Hey, Juan.
We'll
Right
get
back
deeper
at
into
you.
that. Just don't find Valentine's Day threatening.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.